Hi, Sai. Hiromi Yaibin. I'm Hiromi, they, them. I'm the creative lead for Scion, as well as writer and developer for many Scion titles and loads of other games. This is the Scion Showcase, where a bunch of writers and developers finally get to play the game that we talk so much about and cause a little chaos for each other in the process. We're coming to you from Snohomish Lands, or at least I'm I'm streaming this from Snohomish Lands. My players are from around the world. We're international. It's great. By the time this episode comes out, there's a pretty good chance that the Scion God, Hiromi from the future here, Scion God's backer kit campaign is live now, and you can go check the thing out. And with that amazing segue, let's meet our players. David, who are you? Who are you playing? And what did they think they'd be doing next year before all of this shit?
My name is David Castro. They, them. I am a writer and developer on Scion and a writer on a lot of other Onyx Path games. It'd be shorter to list which ones I haven't done. Um, I am playing Damien De La Cruz, and he thought a year from now he'd probably be, how you say, acquiring some interesting artifacts uh, from museums in places that the people who own such artifacts aren't.
Nice. So more of what got you into this mess. Michaela, who are you? Who are you playing? And what did they think they'd be doing next year before they got punched across America?
Hello everyone, I'm Michele Masa, he, him. It's been a while since I said that, but I come from Italy, from the place where Disney's Luca is set in, so we are really international, as Hiromi said. And I play Elena Torns Rappaccini, a born Scion of Veles of the Bogovi. I think Elena thought they'd probably make plans and perhaps put into action some intervention on endangered locales, or maybe protest against some operations that threaten the environment or flora and fauna, basically wherever they manage to go. It's sort of the Torn's plans for the future, for the upcoming future, which likely changed a lot with the events of, well, for us, a bunch of months, for our characters, a bunch of days.
I think it's been 2 days.
Yeah, like not even a bunch of days. I think it's been 2 days. Yeah.
I think 3, maybe 3. We'll see. I don't remember.
Yeah.
Because we started, then we slept at Damien's, and then the next day we sorted out some things, and then we finished, I think. But hey, no, I might be wrong. It doesn't really matter.
Time isn't real, especially when you're mythical.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And Jeffrey, who are you? Who are you playing? And what did they think they'd be doing next year if it weren't for all of this stuff?
Hello, I'm Jeffrey, he, him, another writer for Scion. And I am playing Mitch Hewlett, who I think next year, if none of this had happened, ever since he was a child, Mitch has been hearing stories about friends, dogs that when they've gotten old, they've gone to a farm in upstate New York somewhere to play with all the other dogs. And he wants to go find that farm and volunteer there just to help out these dogs that he's heard about all these years. And please, no one tell him it's not real.
That is the Mitchest thing ever. Mitch is just the sweetest marshmallow. Everyone should hug Mitch because Mitch is going to hug everyone.
Completes cinnamon roll, too good for this world, too pure.
Last session, simultaneously a lot of things and not much happened. So our Scions confronted Bogdan, a Titan spawn of Chort, who'd been screwing with them basically the entire time that we've been watching these characters. And he thought he'd be able to stay in the shadows, pulling strings and picking fights, because if he can do that, he's got a pretty good chance of getting away with it. One-on-one, he probably would win against any of our Scions, but that's not what happened. He did not get to pick a fight one-on-one. He got his ass beat badly. So now, Mitch has the Star of Murugan, which is an artifact of Kartikeya, which resonates with Mitch for reasons unknown. They also have Bogdan's ballistic knife. If you're unfamiliar with ballistic knives, because most people are, ballistic knives are spy knives. They have a powerful spring inside them just to shoot the blade off. They are extremely niche, and I don't know that they're actually worth anything, because if you miss, you don't have a knife anymore. But Bogdan's knife appears to solve that problem by growing a new blade each time. They needed to take Bogdan's knife, needed to take Bogdan's head to Mrs. Nadar, a powerful Titan spawn of someone who's chummy with Rakshasa. Our characters don't know, but the players might have an idea. And bringing the head of Bogdan, which happened to be attached to the rest of Bogdan, fulfilled their bargain with her. And then Thorns made an interesting deal, a plea for Bogdan's life, which Mitch probably also made, or at least like helped and collaborated with, suggesting that instead of killing Bogdan, they make a life for a life trade, with Bogdan being forcibly conscripted into Mrs. Nadar's coterie, essentially taking the place of Rajit, the Rakshasa that he killed, which Bogdan was not happy about, but he doesn't really get a say because Mrs. Nadar is significantly more powerful than he is. And so Mrs. Nadar accepted the bargain, but had a request on her side, which was that Damien take Rajit's soul to its resting place. And where do Rakshasa go when they die? We'll have to find out later. So now that everyone's had their visitations, we're going to take a little bit of time taking these origin tier Scions to hero. So first up, origin tier Scions have one calling. Now you have 3 callings, with a total of 5 dots, unless you bought more. And one of those callings needs to be from your divine parent. The rest can be from anything. And if you have access to a calling through a birthright, you can have more than 3. So I know that folks were doing some planning between sessions. Would anyone like to share what they picked up?
Sure, I would. So my calling from my parent, let me pull up the guide I had on how to pronounce that. Makita ri wa wayaba. That's about as good as that's gonna get. Um, um, is liminal at 1 dot, and that remains. The other 2 got the other 4 dots split between them. Leader and Sage. Leader because Damien, while the idea for him wasn't necessarily a face, has been born out as a face through play, so it makes sense to be a leader of people. And Sage, just because this character was built to be a like knowledge-based arcane sort of character, so that makes sense for them. So those are my 3 callings.
Nice.
Limno 1, Leader 2, Sage 2.
And Damien's occult knowledge has come in handy a fair bit of time. So I think having Sage makes a lot of sense. Michaela, Jeffrey, did either of you land on something? Or would you like help finding something?
Please go, Jeffrey.
Oh, okay. Just going to stare politely at each other for the next 15 minutes.
Yeah, I know. We are polite like that.
Well, so Mitch started off with Leader 1 that he'd inherited. And I'm thinking of bumping that to Leader 2, Lover 2, Warrior 1. Yeah. For Leader, well, I'll get into Nax later, but yeah, that should cover things. I've mentioned outside of the game that I really think that at some point he's going to fail out of Leader, because most of his job so far has been less, leadership and more focused support character. But we will see what happens with that. Maybe he'll have a change of personality as he goes.
Could be. Lover and Warrior certainly make a ton of sense, because Mitch loves everyone and is just a delight. Michaela, what are you thinking for Thorns?
Okay, Thorns started with Judge, which they got from Veles, and I think they'll also inherit Trickster from Veles, because they Judges. The concept of Thornsy is punk poison ivy, and you don't get to be angry and judge people for what they're doing to nature without having some judging there. So I'm gonna keep that. And Trickster is because they move on a side of things which isn't strictly illegal, and often have to deal with either authorities or people in power, and fuck them. So Trickster is there to stay. And the Warrior is there because Thorns packs a punch and isn't afraid to get their hands dirty, so makes sense, I think.
Yeah.
Oh yes, the last one is warrior. I didn't say that.
Yeah, no, all of those are extremely appropriate for what we've seen from Thorns. So next step is Nax. So you had just mentioned what Nax you were thinking of, and we're there already. So for each dot in calling, you get one heroic knack from that calling. If you want, instead of two knacks, instead of two heroic knacks, you can get one immortal. So you should have 5 heroic knacks or some combination of immortal and heroic knacks that is basically the same. Somewhat anti-munchkin and also anti-leveling process that you might expect from like D&D or something. By the book, everyone has 5, no matter what they purchased with experience beforehand. If people have more than 5 dots worth of knacks, I don't care. It's fine. It's fine. It's cool.
I have 7. Because at origin level, instead of building birthrights, I just bought more knacks.
Yeah, and
So,
that's perfectly fine. I think that in the next iteration, it's going to have more of a system that's like, instead of having everyone hit hero tier on an even footing, on the exact even footing, it's going to be a progression of where you've been and where you are now. So instead of like resetting your character on a higher plane, it is a continuation of your earlier progress. That said, since this is such a huge character moment, any swapping around of things that you want to do is totally fine, and is something that I'll keep in mind when making future books, because, well, if you're going from a mortal that's kind of good at stuff to being a hero that has legend surrounding them, you maybe some of your skills and abilities and knacks and whatnot change because you're not the same person anymore. So who has some fun knacks that they've picked out?
I can start with mine if you want, or Michaela can start with his.
I got a bunch of new knacks because I started with 4 birthrights, which we didn't see, but we'll see soon. So I got to pick several knacks, and I didn't share those before with my peers here, so this will be a little fun. Yes, I'm bringing Judge to 2 dots. So I'm keeping the Truth Arises because it was really useful with the climax with Bogdan. And I'm also getting a lie detector, which basically means anyone who is not Scion or above can't lie to me. And those who are Scion or above have more difficulties doing that, which I think is fun. Okay, then I'm getting Trickster at level 2 as well. And let me go there. Yes, I had a little bit of fun with telling lies to Karen at one point, and I think that since Thorns improvises a lot to pull themselves out of situation, I think that Bladder and Skite might be useful. basically when I drown people in like blatant lies or nonsense, or just rapid thoughts then trying to barge my way in with nonsense and stuff like that. And also I'm thinking about wasn't me, or takes one to know one, and I'm willing to let my friends here lean in and tell me their opinion on that, because I'm a little bit between those.
Let me
So
pull
for
those up
folks who would
and
like
see what
to
those do.
figure out what's up with that, those are on page 111 of Origin and a different page on Hero. Takes one to know one is when you are the target of a scam or a lie, you recognize that a deception is taking place. You do not know what the truth is, but you instinctively understand that you are in the company of liars and cheaters. Whether or not you call the cheat out on his dishonest actions is up to you. And wasn't me says when you do something with legal or social consequences, you delay the consequence by transferring the blame to someone else of the same or lower tier. This delay lasts until the end of the session by default, but may be delayed by making a knack skill roll and spending 1 success per scene of delay. To push the blame onto a member of your band, you must do so with the consent of that character's player, which even if it didn't say, I would enforce anyways.
Seeing what I've seen of Thorns, takes one to know one sounds more like what Thorns would do. It wasn't me sounds more like a Damien move, if I am honest.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree.
You are muted, Michaela.
Sorry, it's either muted or my phone being really loud, so sometimes I do that. Yes, I think that takes one to know one works well. And for Warrior, I think I'm going on the defensive side of things, because I'm happy with how Thorns patches, and also I have boons in mind for the aggressive side of things. Not right now, but later. So I think I'm going with Tempered, which when you wear no armor, you still have armor because you are indeed tempered.
Nice.
Nope. So I have mine pretty specced out because I'm knack heavy apparently. But first, let me ask a question about how many of these I can have active at once, because the rules say that I can have as many as I have dots in the calling, but one of my knacks is a general knack, so it's not related to a calling. That's aura of greatness. How does that play with all of my other stuff?
You know what?
Or I can
Let's
just
double
ditch
check.
it. I can always just ditch it.
You can, so helpfully, that is spelled out on page 223 of Hero. You can have 5 knacks active, and wait a minute. Yes, no, that's right. Okay. It's the same number of active knacks that you can have up as you have dots and calling.
Okay.
It does not, however, specify that you have to have the same distribution. So like if you purchased like a bazillion knacks and that knack only had like those knacks were only associated with a calling that you had one dot in, rules as written, you could have all of your active knacks be for that calling, even though you only have one dot in it. So I think that's probably fine. It's interesting. It's an interesting loophole, but I don't think it breaks anything. So
yeah. That being said, I assumed that I could only have active equal to the number of dots in said calling. So my knacks sort of fall into that distribution anyway, except for leader, because I had one from origin before I bought more. So for liminal, I have complete privacy, which is basically I can't be traced, I can't be tracked, I can't be listened in upon. My phone can't be tapped by mundane means. I can be tailed, but at a +2 difficulty. And this only applies to attempts to invade my privacy, not like going through TSA or whatever. So I have that. I have, and for leader, I have 3 knacks. Grand entrance, which is when I make a first impression, roll knack skill. Success equals 1 enhancement to all social rolls made towards that character for the rest of the session. I have Lighthouse of Society. As long as a crowd that can see me has not been frightened directly by magical means, I can get the group to act calmly and do what I tell them to do in an orderly fashion without having to make a roll, or with a class of wills if the source is magical. And then I still have perfect poise, where I can't be shaken or frightened by non-magical means, and have a 2 enhancement to resist magical sources of fear. And I get 1 enhancement to all social roles involving grace, poise, maintaining composure, or keeping a poker face, which I already had. Oh, I should mention, we talked about respecing things. Complete privacy replaces the limno knack I had in Origin, which was not the minute nor the hour, which I took for like deathy reasons, but it didn't really vibe with what I ended up doing with the character. For Sage, I have presence of magic. I always know when I'm near an object or place of magical or sacred power. If asked, the SG must answer honestly yes or no. If a place or object is magical, bypassing the need to make a roll. Seems like good for what my character does in this chronicle. And omniglot translation. When I am conversing in or read a foreign language, I can do so in that language without accents. I can translate into my native tongue, English, in minutes without a roll, if it is a mundane language, and with a lexical roll, if it's a like magical runes or a god's writing or whatever. And I already had Aura of Greatness. I picked Persuasion for this. Once per session, I can get a 2 enhancement to Persuasion rolls.
I think that Mrs. Johnson is going to appreciate Omniglot translation.
Right? I thought about that too.
She is not a fan of colonizer languages. And I don't know how else in character you would be able to speak Wampanoag. So this fucking perfect. Mitch, sorry, Jeffrey, what's
Common mistake. So Mitch is keeping somebody's watching me because it's gotta happen sometime. Under leader, also taking good listener, which is that if I'm just having a relaxing conversation with a story guide character, they will let slip some useful bit of information. No role needed, just has to be a sort of friendly chat. Fluid appeal under lover. When I meet someone for the first time, I can judge what they find attractive and subtly change my appearance to suit that, giving me an enhancement on future interactions with them. And also perfect partner, which doubles the number of successes that I get on any teamwork rolls. So if I'm backing someone else up, it should turn out quite well. And that seems like very much a Mitch thing to have. And then finally, under warrior, biggest threat. If I try to intimidate someone, then the person that I'm intimidating gets +2 difficulty to target anyone but me for the rest of the combat. So it's my warrior taunt skill, basically.
Love the tank.
Might as well put this massive stamina to work somehow. So that's everything.
nice? Yeah, all of those sound very much in keeping with what everyone's doing. Somebody is watching me has kind of come into play, but there's a bit of overlap between that knack and your birthright, which is a good segue into now it's time to talk about birthrights. So everyone should have at least 7 dots in birthrights. And rules as written, it's supposed to just reset you to 7, but if somehow you have more than 7 dots of birthrights, you just keep it. It's fine.
I started first with the knack, so it's not right for me to start right now.
I'll go first again. I don't care. I have no qualms. So I definitely did not have 7 dots because I bypassed birthright entirely. Because I didn't. I'm not the biggest fan of the pre-made ones and making them seem to be a lot of work. And having done it now, I was right. It was a lot of work. It took the most time. So I have 2 from the Zemi Pantheon, which Kickstarter back. Wait, no, not yet. It hasn't been seen yet because God isn't in Kickstarter yet. When it hits Kickstarter, maybe it will by the time y'all see this. You will see these. Until then, I'll just explain them. I have a semi Haki. I think that's how you pronounce that. I don't know. It's the spirit of a tribal leader that I have. It's 3 dots, a guide, with the asset skills, leadership and culture. The guide stunt 1 to 3 successes. I may ask the SG a number of questions. A number of the following questions equal to the successes spent, and the spirit must answer using their best judgment to advise me. Is there anything of importance that I failed to notice? How would you handle this situation? Or what do you think is really going on here? If I use any of the answers in that scene, I gain an enhancement equal to the successes spent, and it also gives me the death purview. Then I made a 3 points to me, which is the death stone that I got in that first episode. 2 dot, a relic that gives me the sky purview and has the motif voice of the tribe. And then I bought a iNercar, the phone from Hero, the 2 dot phone. Except it's bound to Pico UK or Toyobe, the overworld and underworld for the Zemi, as opposed to whatever other thing it would be.
Nice.
Nobody's stealing this phone from me, god damn it.
And with your knack, it's nice and secure. Secure line everywhere you go. Jeffrey, Michaela, either of you have something that you're happy to share?
Yeah. So I'm keeping my origin level 4 dot follower. Just because it's, they're entertaining to have around. Although some point after the visitation, Mitch might actually meet this follower and have more of an active relationship. On top of that, so that's 4 dots, 3 dots left. First one would be a very subtle upgrade of his pickup truck so that it no longer needs fuel. That's just a 1 dot relic. If time goes on and I start throwing more XP into it and this somehow ends up as a legendary 5 dot pickup truck, then religious iconography will never be quite the same.
The Vimana truck of Jeffrey. Of Mitch.
Exactly.
I've been saying if like what's his name? If like Hephaestus / Vulcan has a car, it's definitely a Ford like F-150. So
I actually made a relic. Sorry, I'll go later.
Yeah, the last thing, which would probably be, so since Kautikea / Murugan is a child of Shiva, and Ganesh is another child of Shiva, I figure getting a small gift from Uncle Ganesh could work. So simple, very simple thing, necklace with little Ganesh statue on it that gives the journey's purview. With the motif, no obstacle stands before Dharma.
Nice. So my brief excitement was because I've actually made a truck relic. It's in Tatanamaki. I don't think the flavor fits, but the mechanics might. So it's the Nikkei Titan. This full-size pickup truck has seemingly unlimited towing capacity and a deceptively spacious bed, making it perfect for stealing heavy things. It also has a wildly comprehensive safety restraint system and an unbreakable bumper for louder approaches. Yeah, that was designed for Scions of Titans because
I also made a car in God. It's a motorcycle though, so it doesn't really fit here. But
we have options for divine vehicles. Michaela, what kind of fun do you have for Thorns?
Okay, well, for Taurus, with my 4 dots that I got at Origins, I'm a big proponent of taking the crunch of stuff and altering bits and pieces and their description to use in other things, which probably tracks with how they came from works with the archetype. So there's some work of mine there. So I picked the Titanomachy as the Fenrir's pup, which are made for the obviously the easier Pantheon, and I think I'll get basically a wolf made of briars and thorns and leaves, as big as I think the book describes them as big as a car. So a big wolf made of thorns and briars. It will be nice to see how these weird traits will appear in game. I think it will be really fun to see them show up. And that's 3 dots. I kindly asked Hiromi to save one of those dots for another birthright, which I think I'll keep for last because it's probably the biggest. So I spend some of my experience to get a relic, which is a Zmei Fang. The Zmei are the long story short, they are the Russian dragons. And with Veles also sometimes being a snake, a dragon. Veles is really weird for God. It basically grabs per views left and right. So I'll get this necklace, big fang of a sort of dragon, probably to channel the beast per view. And the motif is fittingly for my concept is the venom of the furious ones spares none, because that's very weren't be really nice, and I need my poison ivy to have some poison, so we'll work on that with the beast preview. And I also been saving that dot and quite a bunch of experience to probably complicate my life a lot, but it will be really fun because I'm getting none other than Baba Yaga as a guide, which is a 5 dots guide with chicken nut and mortar, flying mortar all around. And aside from all the narrative wonders that having Baba Yaga as a guide will do, she also has a guide stunt, which is inflict a level 2 complication on an opponent next roll within the current scene to harm, influence, or otherwise detrimentally affect your character or an ally. As your threatening presence through her, because Baba Yaga is pretty scary, basically even the gods pay her the due respect. Even she's not a god, she is Baba Yaga, and that's more than enough. If they fail to buy the complication off, you may immediately and reflexively spend or imbue legend to perform a marvel. This doesn't count as your marvel for the scene. Calling is Trickster, which I already have, but she also gives me access to the Chaos Preview. And yes, that's mine.
just wait until the first time she pops up and Remy describes her as John Wick.
Yeah, in John Wick, that was a weird things to have happen and keep for all the movies. I love those movies, but that, I said, it's something that was a little bit weird, but okay.
Yeah, not very witchy. More just,
I'm pretty sure there is a Russian term for boogeyman that isn't Baba Yaga.
I'd
But that's
say
what they
that
were going
even
for.
even just Crochet the Deathless would have fit Mr. John Wick way more. But
Yeah.
as I said, I love those movies, and I also love Assassin mostly because of the movies. So that's more.
The next thing that we're getting into is purviews, and where did that helpful everything in one place box text go off to? Anyway, doesn't matter. So everyone automatically gets the Divine Parents Pantheon specialty purview as an innate purview. You also get another purview from your Divine Parent. So you have two purviews. One, you do not get much choice in the matter. The other one, you should have three to pick from, unless your Divine Parent has more or less for whatever reason.
I have two that come from Pantheons and Parent, and then two from my birth. Right. The ones from my parent, I took order, which, hear me out, everyone watching. How I very much think Damien is the sort of criminal who keeps most of his things technically legal. Because, you know, there's that whole thing about like things that are legal aren't necessarily moral, moral things aren't necessarily legal. And I took a boon from here, the Code of Heaven, where I can speak at length about the law, and so long as I'm being truthful and accurate, everybody knows that I am correct. If I, in this explanation of the law, say that a person is innocent of a crime, the innate power of the purview extends to them, which is to say, I know wherever I am, what the laws are in that place. I can sense if the thing that we are thinking about or about to do is legal or illegal. And if I am doing something that is legal, a law enforcement officer can't either it can't prevent me from doing what I'm trying to do. They physically cannot stop me, and that protection extends to this innocent person if I dub them innocent. If I dub somebody guilty in the same course of explaining the law, everybody, me included, gets a +2 enhancement to bringing them to justice. I'm going to take great liberties with that phrasing. I have the Pantheon purview, Vehique, which has the motifs through ecstatic communion with the numinous powers that dwell inside the natural world. Miracles may be unleashed. This gives me the innate power to, once per scene, ask the following question about a god, scion, spirit, or other creature of legend in the scene, and if I leverage the answer, I gain a 3 enhancement. What is your true rank, title, and nature? What price would I have to pay for your assistance? Or which of your powers should I be most aware of right now? Death, I get through the 3-point semi. Sorry, no, I get through the chief spirit. I get the innate power where I can see and communicate with ghosts, spirits, shades, and other forms of undead. And I can perceive entryways to the underworld. I took for my second boon from here, Unquiet Dead. I imbue one legend to cause a corpse to speak or summon the spirit, ghost shade, or other cultural appropriate spirit. From the site of their grave for one scene, they can't act except to speak, and I can influence them. They start with 3 attitude towards me. They retain all their memories of life except for the 5 minutes right before they died. And in so long as the boon is active, the other spirits' answers provide a 3 enhancement to any applicable rolls. But I can only use this on the same spirit once per session. Yes. And I have Sky from the 3-point semi, innate power. I know the weather in at least a day beforehand, and harmful weather complications don't affect me, which is the least impressive of all of these, but that's okay.
And who else has purviews handy? I realize that like potentially a lot of purviews thanks to guides and whatnot. But
I do have here ready, if it's all right.
yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, in alphabetical order because it's more practical. I get Beast from my Zmeifang, and I'm not picking the boom for that right now. So I'll just go with the innate power, which is basically animals will never attack or harm me unless they are compelled, or legendary creature like, I don't know, a Caledonian boar or whatever. Boy, we have Chaos from Baba Yaga, which is a rather chaotic innate power. I walk untouched through chaotic situation, taking no harm from random or haphazard dangers such as debris in a tornado, a freak traffic accident, or being trampled by shoppers on a Black Friday. It explains very well. Doesn't protect me from intentional stuff like gunfire in a shootout or more direct environmental situations aimed at me, and extends to non-magical dangerous terrain, though I might still face complications because of that. I'm not picking a boon for Chaos either. Chaos is more of a plus for Baba Yaga. Then I'm getting Wild from Veles, and I'm getting there myself with the book. As innate power, I move through wilderness with a Dryad's Grace, ignoring any difficult or dangerous terrain based on dense undergrowth, fallen trees, barrier patches, or other plant hazard. And I add 2 announcements on all rolls to move stealthily within a wilderness area. And I am picking the boon in wild, so we can describe that. I think I have to pick Overgrowth, which is basically I spend 1 legend and I cause plants to sprout and rapidly grow from the soil, basically emerge from everywhere. Lash characters provide enhancements and complication because, I mean, I'm following my concept there, so I'm making plants appear from everywhere and hurt people or help me to, I don't know, throw stuff or do things, do poison ivy things. And for the my
and it's not just complications and enhancements. the plants can actually kick someone's ass.
They can. I'm very much doing
Feed me, seed more, feed me.
that. I'm planning to combine that with bee stuff and eventually fertility stuff. That should do stuff all around. So that will be fun. I'm also have my Pantio preview of, I totally don't know the pronunciation there, so sorry about that. Duoveria. The motive is through acting in accordance with one true nature, one may wield the power of rod and work miracles. And basically the Bogovi are a pantheon at the crossroads between the various Slavic countries and also the continents that are there. So they have this overall motif of being with their virtues, also of being strong when they want, but also adaptable. They are a cool pantheon of people who don't belong everywhere, but also belong everywhere. So a little bit of both. And the innate power is really cool, I think, and I hope I won't have Hiromi aid me for this eventually, because I can communicate with virtually anyone or anything, regardless of linguistic barriers. I only get one complication when language is a matter, and this also allows me, and this is the part I hope I won't become very annoying with, to speak with inanimate objects of organic nature, such as plant life, animals, because they are part of the organic nature, though plants and animals will have opinions of topic important to them, such as the sun, the rain, that really tasty bone they're chewing on, so stuff like that.
So what you're saying is Thorn speaks for the trees.
Yeah. It's part of the package. And I'm picking the Volevoi boon. When in presence of a bog with the strongest convictions, others find themselves blistering against their strength of purpose. I radiate an aura that people find difficult to look at me or oppose me with. I give them complications on all action that might bring me physical harm, and if I'm feeling virtuous at the moment, I also add scale to that. I'm strong in that sense.
Yet another reason for us to remember to pay attention to virtues, because +1 defensive scale is fucking significant. So Jeffrey, what's Mitch got?
What has he got? So Pantheon Preview is yoga with the motif. By chanting spells and undergoing austerities, one might create or become a miracle. And the innate power for this is a little difficult to parse. So maybe you can help me out with it. It says, once proceed, when you act selflessly despite hardships in order to uphold a duty or serve someone else, you may allow another player to spend momentum on an action without having to draw on one of their virtues. Every point of momentum they spend also adds another free die so they have the virtuous condition. So
yeah, so that is one of the examples of text that was referencing one way that the virtue system could work, but that system did not actually happen. So it is a little bit of orphaned text. that said, the last sentence is still applicable, still usable, in that when you spend momentum, instead of just getting 1 die, you get 2 dice. Just the like idea that the virtuous condition is actually complicated. So you get 1 die for each step. You are on either direction of the virtue continuum, and then if you're all the way at one end or the other, in addition to those 2, you also get 1 more die per momentum spent for having the virtuous condition. So this kind of just lets you have the bonus die from virtuous, even if you're not. The way that it's worded, it would not stack with also having the virtuous condition. However, if you are actually virtuous, then you have 2 additional free dice per momentum spent, because you are 2 steps in one direction or the other. So yeah, that's the first half of that innate power isn't really applicable anymore. And I should make a note to see if I can't find a stopgap that makes that more in line with other innate powers.
Yeah, I could even, just sort of imagining this, say, you know, if I'm lending or giving momentum dice to someone else to use, it could use, you know, the better of my place on the virtue track or theirs when calculating how many dice they get. So it still ties in with the idea that, you know, once a scene, I am upholding my duty or serving someone else. So it's sort of my virtue being channeled into that other person. And, you know, well, I guess we'll see how often, you know, Mitch goes into wild virtue tantrums and just becomes extremely dutiful. So,
yeah, no, that seems fun and appropriate, and also a fairly easy fix. And it also means that if Mitch is virtuous, then the other Scion gets four dice per momentum spent, which is some fun shit.
So yeah, so that's the innate for yoga. And I am also taking as the boon from there, devotion's reward. My favorite, most open-ended boon in the entire world. You have to spend a full scene doing something to please the gods. Sacrifices or artistic performance, austerities, I don't know, really good sex, anything like that. Then at the end of that scene, they will lend you a favor. Could be a relic that you get temporarily, could be the use of a boon or a knack from a particular calling. It will likely come with a catch, making sure that you use it properly. But you can get a lot done with it. So that's at the yoga end. Other inherited one that I'm taking is epic stamina. Innate power, I think I can only be poisoned or diseased if it comes from a source that has more legend than I do. And Also, never get complications from hunger, thirst, or exhaustion. Between that and the relic car, I can just now drive 24 hours a day if we ever want to take Thorns back to Portland. Or is it Seattle?
I was imagining that Beach will go with fast car in the background from coast to coast.
And oh yes, and the boon that I'm taking for that is Adamant Body, imbue 1 legend to get an extra level of soft armor, so an extra point of defense, and the resistant tag against 1 source of damage. And just by knowing the boon, I get the resistant tag to some other form of damage at all times. Don't know what that should be yet.
Yeah.
You know, big honking swords, people who mean me harm.
Bathing words.
But I will work out that before we start actually putting these into action. And then last thing from my Ganesh relic, Journey's Purview, just taking the innate, which is essentially that I will always know how to get to the spot that I am looking for, unless it's hidden by magic.
You really built a perfect person to go anywhere, anytime.
Yeah.
It's just it's the best mythical chauffeur ever.
This is what I'm aiming for.
No need to eat. You always know the direction, and the truck never needs any fuel.
The best getaway driver.
Yeah, so that's all for privys and boons.
Nice. So on the page, the next step is boons, but we already did that, so we'll just keep going. The step after that is legend. Everyone has legend 1, which lets you spend it or imbue it, and that's what powers a lot of the boons. Probably all of the boons, although I don't want to say that because there is almost certainly an exception. And it also means you can be fate bound now.
Dun dun dun.
But the neat thing with fate bindings is that they're not just something that I can impose upon you to screw your life. You can also accept one to get some benefit out of that. So it is this weird kind of Faustian bargain.
I have a question,
Sure.
because the book doesn't tell you, or at least I didn't see it anywhere. It gives you a list of all the stuff you can buy with your experience. Legend is not among them.
Mm-mm.
How do you get legend?
Legend is plot based, so that is accomplished through deeds. So like the same kind of process that we use to go from origin to hero, where everyone knocked out at least one short term, at least one long term, and then the band deed. The same process applies per point of legend. So it is one of those things that everyone will progress at basically the same pace. It's possible that someone might get ahead if their long-term deed was less complicated than someone else's, but it is essentially at plot speed.
Okay.
And yeah, for the fate bindings, the benefits that you can get out of that, that starts on page 197. And usually it means that, like, if I screw with you, or if you decide that you should be screwed, you generally get a legend, or rather regain a legend. The phrasing surrounding legend is not my favorite, because there's a distinction between gaining a point of, like, maximum legend and spending it, much like in World of Darkness. There's a distinction between how much willpower you can have and how much you can spend, and I think both systems could have an amount of clarity. So something for the future. And I already talked about virtues a bit. And each pantheon has their own virtues associated with them. And basically the idea is that when you do something that is especially in keeping with one of those pantheon's virtues, you'll slide towards it on the track. And if you're not in the center, then you get an extra momentum. Sorry, you get an extra die when you spend momentum. And if you're all the way on one side or the other, you gain the virtuous condition, which is both good and bad, because it gives you more dice when you spend momentum, but it also means that you're kind of stuck in that mindset. And so you start having complications to do things that are not in keeping with that. So that's, again, a sword that cuts both ways. And I will be shocked if Mitch is not the first one to go virtuous. And at that point, then Mitch is just the dice factory. It will take very little effort to require fistfuls of dice.
I'm looking forward to this.
I am too.
I'm gonna call Mitch Chessex because he's just out here making dice.
In the book, the next step is health, but that's wrong because Scion health doesn't really scale, which is also something that I'm not a fan of, but them's the rules we got for now. So we'll move on a little bit because there are other factors. Similarly, defense is the step after that, which is also wrong, because there is no defense stat. Defense is one of your three resistances, whichever one is more applicable to what you're facing. So in things that actually matter, skills, you get 5 more dots. So it turns out that being infused with divine ichor, or at least having the ichor in your blood wake up, it makes you more talented at things, which is kind of a strange thing to think about from a conceptual basis, but you're children of gods. It's fine to break rules.
Well, I was not aware of that, so I have not applied these 5 dots.
Yeah, I saw a little bit of surprise in each person's eyes, so I'm like, I'm glad I mentioned this. This is why we go step by step, even if some of the steps are fucked up.
Then I'm going to retroactively unbuy the extra dot in a skill that I had bought with my experience points, because I wouldn't have done that had I known that I was getting extra dots. So I have more experience points than I think of, though I don't have a notes section on the sheet anymore, so there's nowhere to really note how much experience I have. I'll just put it here in contact.
Stick it in your defense roll.
That makes sense. Because if I'm getting hit with something, things are very, very wrong.
And also, defense roll is not a spot that should exist on that character sheet.
Cool. So I'm thinking I get 1 extra dot in empathy, integrity, and leadership, moving each of those to 3.
Mhm.
And then putting an extra dot in persuasion, making that 4. No, putting extra dot, not taking away the dot I had. Why is this so hard to toggle? There we go. Subterfuge or culture? I'm not sure where to put this last dot. Subterfuge or culture?
Which one's lower?
They are equal.
Ah.
So this will make one of them higher. I'm thinking subterfuge.
Yeah, I think both of them are like equally appropriate. Like, although I think subterfuge actually ends up being more organic to Damien's story, because like he started off working with culture and very rapidly became all about subterfuge.
Yeah. Okay, so now I have 4 dots in subterfuge. Should I read off what my skills are, or like, are we going to release these at some point? I don't know.
That's something that I've thought about doing, as having like essentially turning my notes into something that is usable for other people, and then basically just making this like a Storypath Nexus thing, if everyone is cool with that, because like this is your campaign too.
Yeah, sounds good to me.
Count us in, and I'm fine with that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm
no objection from me.
I could not have this game without y'all, and so like if money comes this way through that, you're all definitely getting a cut, because it's your campaign too. Jeffrey, what's Mitch getting better at?
Well,
Pilot, I mean, what?
another point in pilot and empathy, putting those both to 4 dots. And then out of absolutely nowhere, 3 dots in close combat. Because it does cover the initial grappling grab that switches over to athletics afterwards, but it's really embarrassing not to be able to make that first hit when you have nothing in close combat. So, yeah. So that's, yep.
Yeah, it is gonna get much better, or much easier to just be like, no, you need to settle down.
Yes. Now that I have my hands on you, we're going to fling you. And yeah, so that's, yeah, quick and simple for me.
Nice. Michaela.
I think I'm gonna sprinkle those 5 dots all around and get a tiny bit better at many things. So I'm bringing occult to 3 because otherwise I'd feel like my guide and patron or teacher would hate me or eat me. Same thing with the iron teeth and all. Also raising subterfuge to 4. And okay. I'm probably gonna talk with lots of more people here, more people and plants and animals. So I think probably Thorns is gonna. I think I'm torn between persuasion and empathy because I also want to let's start with raising integrity to 4 as well, and so I can't decide between persuasion and empathy to talk with people, but I guess they can work their way of talking with subterfuge, and empathy can help understand the others. So I think empathy could be a more fitting pick for Thorns.
Yeah.
They attack with a subterfuge and defend with empathy, in a sense, if that make to explain how my mental process here is. So here we have.
Yeah, makes total sense. And the next step, which is another reason why I said that health and defense need to go later, and also they're kind of not a thing. But the other thing, the next step is attributes. You get one more dot. And if you put that dot into stamina and that takes you 2-3, or if it takes you 2-5, then you get an additional bruised box. So it does kind of increase. Calculating health does kind of matter, but not because you're heroes now, but because if you have increased your stamina, you might have more health levels.
I'm sorry. So if I have 3, how many bruise level should I have? Because I think I picked something wrong here on the path.
If you are at 3 stamina, you should have
Yes.
2 bruised boxes.
Yeah, I picked 3, so that was 1 too much. Okay. I think I'm gonna delve on this a little bit. Probably tell you later what my pick for the attribute is. I'm sorry, I know it's not really working with the format we're having, but I didn't consider one more attribute. So yeah, I can't decide because I can't make this decision right now. I'm sorry.
No, it's totally fine. I mean, it's new information for folks, so I'm kind of springing this decision on you, and you don't have to make character altering decisions on the spur of the moment. That said, would anyone like to make a character altering decision on the spur of the moment?
I sure would. I put the extra dot into cunning, just make my cunning 5, because that seems correct. It was either going to be cunning or intellect, and I was like, am I wily or am I smart? I am currently at the same level of these things. I think my visitation might makes me a little more wily. And I couldn't put it into manipulation because it's already at 5. So
yeah. Jeffrey, are there any resiliences that you don't have maxed out?
There, there are two.
I'm not saying that you have to do it. I'm just...
I know. It's just like, do I want my resolve or my composure to be 5?
Which is very composed in my mind, so
I
there's
think
that.
he has shown a lot of composure so far, so I think I will put that one to 5.
Makes sense to me.
Right.
Yeah,
I agree.
Little did we know that Mitch was a consummate tank. It's never really come up. He never had to just put himself in between danger and the rest of us, but he's built for it like a brick shit house.
And now we're at the sort of final bit, which could also take a long time and also involve things that you don't necessarily have the bandwidth to deal with right now, which is you can have 2 more knacks, specifically 2 more heroic knacks, or 1 immortal if you want to swap out, or 4 points of birthrights. Although
There's no more space on my sheet for now. Literally, I filled every line of Nax on this sheet. And there's no more room for birthrights either, technically speaking.
I think I focused on the wrong page, and then I spent all my time working on the things I thought I had, because this is no new information for me.
Yeah, I didn't see any of this in the thing I read.
So you remember, like, about 45 minutes ago when I was like, I do not like how this information is laid out? That's why. Because these are steps that are part of the moving from origin to hero process, and they're in the book, but they could be
in a better position.
I think what happened was I saw the health and defense bit and went like, oh, okay, the thing they can ignore, and stopped reading. So I read the get 7 birthright dots and get more knacks and all that stuff, and then went, oh, okay, so health, defense, all that stuff that doesn't change. All right, sure, that's fine, and stopped reading.
I think I have those ready then, because I read wrongly how many birds I got the first time, so I had those ready, but then I thought they were 7 when they are actually 11. So I have those ready. I can go first, I guess, to make the others the others some more time. Okay. I'll use 2 dots of birthrights to have a punk jacket with the Leshy embroidery on the back, sort of like of a biker jacket. We just only have Leshy are spirits of the forest in their Slavic folklore, and they sort of change a lot because Slavic folklore is like that. Sometimes they are just dudes in the forest. Sometimes they're shape changers. Sometimes they're more feral. Sometimes they... I'll go with, because I know my mythology, but I'm also a geek, so I'm going with how Mr. Mike Mignola does that in his Russian arc of Hellboy, where Aleshi appears and talks with Hellboy, and who is basically a giant bear man with ram horns. So we'll have that for Torrance. And it's for the Leshy are protectors of the forest. They also speak for the trees to go for that. And I'll go with I'll get at the end I'll get my fertility purview there, and the motive is nature endures and fights back, basically.
Nice.
And then I guess I also figured that having a Leshy for a follower would be nice to sort of person to speak for between me and to introduce me to the spiritual side of things when it comes to nature. And basically Torrance is gonna use them as a sort of a friend, agent friend to speak with nature. I should also think that along what Eddie is in the beginning, because I think Elliot is gonna ramp up Eddie a little bit as he evolves into hero, but a little bit of a follower there. We can sort it out eventually to decide what this follower, and probably with a name as well, would help there. Okay.
So, fun question, which is not going to affect the mechanics of it, because I don't want to mess with that. I don't want to mess with the mechanic sides. I do want to mess with the narrative side, because that's generally where I have more fun. Would you like your Leshy follower to crawl out of your jacket?
That will be fun. Yes, let's have that.
All right. So your follower has your back.
Quite literally. That's cool.
So I have one of the things I want to buy. I don't know about. It costs 3 dots, and I have 1 dot left over then. Though, so what I want, if my PDF will load, there it is. I want, I'm going to butcher this name, but it's fine. Poka's mirror.
Mm-hmm.
It's 3 dots. It gives me the fortune purview and has the motif secrets beg for revelation, mysteries beg for solution. It gives me the blurted out as a fortune I can learn blurted out as a fortune boon. Rather than speaking aloud, the subject is reflected in the mirror and their thoughts are clear to anybody who could see them in the glass. Also, by imbuing the mirror with a legend point, I can see what's happening at any given location from anywhere as long as I've been there before. I may do this indefinitely, but can't take non-reflective actions while I do so, and can't apply my defense. And it has a flaw. Each time I scribe with the mirror or channel a purview through it, the story guide adds a point of tension to the tension pool. My first thought was the pure power gamer. If I made it 4 dots, could I buy off that flaw? I don't want to actually do that. But I couldn't help think that thought. So I definitely want the mirror. So let me jot that down. I'm going to put Tez's because I can't pronounce all of this. Tez's mirror, which is 3 dot. And come back to me for the 1 dot that I haven't picked yet.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, I don't know when 4-page character sheets are coming, but they are coming. And
I lied. I know what my 1 dot is. I was going to take it, but then I was like, let me get something else instead. It's the twofold guys. Which gives me the deception purview. I'm going to have 17 purviews. That's just going to happen. Fortune and this would be deception. With it has the motif of everything is a matter of perspective, which feels very accurate to this character. And I get one enhancement when I use when used to deceive or as a disguise. It's probably going to look like a very nice suit, just a dope ass suit. But once per arc, issue requires the Scion service gain the paying tribute condition. So have fun with that.
I'm gonna.
We're giving Hiromi so much fuel to have fun with us, which is the right way of doing things, I think. And I also have found the exact panel which inspired me. I'm gonna share this in our thing.
Or Discord that nobody but us can see.
Yes, and because it's perfect and shows well how like she change and how look the bestial form looks in my mind there.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, to be fair, I don't know how litigious Mike Mignola is, and I don't want to find out. So, people who would like to know what this looks like, go Google Hellboy Leshy, and it'll probably show up. And yeah, I'm not going to show it on the stream.
Leshy being spelled Leshii. Google it, you'll find it.
It's also one of the Hellboy's best arc, which says a lot because all arcs of Hellboy are good. So,
yeah.
What is the innate powers of these two new purviews? Jesus Christ! This is what I was talking about before. Where like Scion characters are just a lot of memory problems because now I have what is this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 purviews with innate powers that I all have to keep in my brain.
Yeah,
I'm gonna need a cheat sheet.
That's why I made Thorns the way they are, basically with beast, fertility, and wild, basically just plants and animals. So sort of doing all this stuff.
Yeah.
Someone has to do this. Someone has to do this. It will be me.
Yeah, I mean, I'm now thinking about the notes and direction that I gave for the 4-page character sheets, and I need to look at them again to see if I actually did give enough lines for them, because there's a lot of potential for sprawl. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. It just requires more page space.
I complain as if I don't play warlocks all the time and have character sheets like this in every game I play. This is just what I do.
Elliot isn't with us tonight because he could bring Exalted into this and destroy us all with a moment.
Yes.
4-page character sheet. That's cute. I need 4 pages to describe this charm. So yeah.
That's interesting.
It's a bunch of knacks and birthrights, and yeah, folks have a lot of fun things that they have access to now. Is anything jumping out at you, Jeffrey, or should we call this done for now? Because I don't want to push you on.
Yeah, I think we can call it done for now.
Okay.
But thanks.
Yeah, no worries. So I'll start wrapping things up and probably just cut that chunk out because that was me putting you on the spot, and I don't need to do that.
Yeah.
uh,
How dare you not know right now? How dare you? Fucking casual.
It's like I've never played the game before.
It's like this game involves fucking like 20 choices at leveling up. All right, so that is the process for getting from origin to hero tier. You get 5 dots in calling. You for each dot in the calling, you get a heroic knack. You can swap them out. You can swap 2 heroic knacks out for 1 immortal knack. You get 7 dots of birthrights. Rules as written, you get set to 7, but I don't think that's the right level of fun for my game. So instead, it's here's the 7 dots, in addition to however many you already had. With purviews, you automatically get your Divine Parents Pantheon Specialty Purview, the PSP, as we usually call it in everywhere that we don't want to type that fucking thing out. And you have access to another purview through your Divine Parent. And if you have birthrights that give you access to purviews, then you have those purviews also. The caveat there is that if something happens to your birthright, I'm not saying anything will happen to your birthrights, but if something happens to your birthrights, you temporarily lose access to that purview. You get 2 boons. They can be from any of your purviews. Your legend increases to 1, which means you can spend or imbue legend, and also I can fate bind you. You now have virtues. They are on a 5-point track. They're on a 2-point and negative 2-point track, which makes it a little complicated. But if you want big numbers and also want me to screw with you, you want to be on one side or the other. If you don't want me to screw with you and you do not want free dice, then you stay in the middle. Health does not change unless you increase your stamina to 3 or 5. Increasing your stamina from 3 to 4 makes you better, but does not get you an extra bruised box. You get an extra 5 dots of skills, 1 dot. Sorry, didn't mean to smack my mic. 1 dot of attributes, and capping it off, you can choose 2 more knacks. 2 more heroic knacks, or 4 points of birthrights. And you can. The book doesn't explicitly say it. In fact, I don't think the book says it at all. But if you wanted 1 heroic knack and 2 points of birthrights, I would let you do it. Alternatively, if instead of 2 heroic knacks or 5 or 4 points of birthrights, you wanted 1 immortal knack, that would also be fine. But that is the leveling process from origin to hero. And these are fantastic players who are super awesome, and anything that is time sensitive, you probably don't want to plug, but if you have perennial things that you would like to plug, please do so now. Jeffrey, who are you? How can people find you and give you money?
Hello, I'm Jeffrey. You can find me on Twitter at am_Jeffrey. There should still be a coffee donation link in there somewhere if you just want to give me money. And yes, I don't think I have anything on the go now except for plans for a long, restful vacation.
I think that you should enjoy a long, restful vacation because you work hard and you help a lot of people. Michaela, who are you and where can people find you and buy your stuff or just throw money at you?
Hello, I'm Michele. I worked for Chronicle of Darkness, World of Darkness, Scion, the Trinity Continuum, and I'm a writer and developer for They Came From Line. I always show for this because it's a little thing I love. It's my book, They Came From North Pole. You can find it through the Storypath Nexus on the Right to RPG, which is They Came From supplement for whole things, Christmas movies and festive movies, stuff like that. And also, if you think you want to support me or stuff, you can pre-order They Came From the Cyclops' Cave and They Came From Classified on Backer Kit. And other than that, the jump start for Cyclops' Cave is getting along the way. And someone here did a splendid job on that. So I'm not going to say names, Jeffrey. So we'll see. Basically, when the books come out, either Cyclops Cave or the Jump Out Start, any support you can give that helps me to pitch stuff and helps me to make that happen, and that's good for me.
Nice. David, who are you? What did you do? How can people find your stuff and or throw money at you?
My name is David Castro. I am a writer and developer for Onyx Path. You can help support me on Patreon, patreon.com/Inkstain Studios, all one word. You can follow me on Twitter at The Inked Knight. And Jeffrey didn't mention it, but Jeffrey wrote a really dope tasty bit for Scion that while buying it does not actually throw money at him, it does make us happy. So do that too.
Yeah.
Give me the title of that again. I was trying to quickly find it, but
Making History
I talk
Modern.
faster than I type. There we go. Making History Modern.